Welcome, gamers, to Basement Arcade Pause Menu. Hit pause, sit back, and just chill mini edition. I'm Ben Magnet, and we're coming to you live for right in the middle of the Fake Nerd Podcast episode 329 because the PlayStation Showcase happened. And who else heard Ryan scream at the top of his lungs? Because I sure as hell did, but we'll get to that bit. Anyways, yeah, PlayStation Showcase, the biggest one that we've had in a while. A lot of shit to go down. Of course, I'm here with Brandon T. McClure, Ryan Eliopoulos, and Sparks Witty. So Ryan, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to extremely?
Not as happy as you'd think, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
Really?
I think
because you have no context except for an announcement, and the context is the most important part of the announcement.
Okay.
There were like 35 games announced, and we're going to talk about like 8 of them, just so everyone knows. We're not talking about all of them.
Yeah.
God, do I wish we were here to talk about all of them.
I do too.
I just want to say in a quick moment, almost every game in here I'm excited about.
There's a game called Cats of the Caribbean. It's a cat role-playing pirate game.
Holy crap! I'm gonna buy that.
Yeah.
I can't even. There's another one that's like about the towers. I forget the name right now.
Tower of Asbo.
Yes.
It's Breath of the Wild, but
just like beautiful. Like I
it
just
has
want
a paraglider.
You know what I thought of? I was like, this is the video game that whatever the Avatar video game wishes it was when it comes out, because I was like, you are just exploring this vast, incredible Pandora like level world of cool creatures and plant life and everything.
Giant flying like stingrays that you can hop on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've never been more excited about being a PlayStation owner.
I really want to talk more about the Plicky Squire. That is my personal favorite.
God, yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, outside of Spider-Man 2, because
that's of course everyone's excited for Spider-Man 2, of course.
Yeah, but Plicky Squire, I have been into this game, into this concept of this game ever since I first saw that trailer. And I want that on my PS5 right now.
That's the most like that in terms of, obviously it's like a small indie game, but in terms of, this is what I'm talking about video game design, like pushing forward. It is combining every type of game into like one game, and it is like a narrative version because it's a storybook being told. And it's just incredible looking how you're transitioning from 2D to 3D. You're going to an open world from like, it looks so charming. It's so charming.
I also just love, sorry Sparks, but I also I just love how the design of the game is. It's kind of, and this one is like obviously with Plicky Squire, it's completely different developer, but same publisher, Devolver Digital, because with Plicky Squire and Cult of the Lamb was cute, but it was also menacing because it's like, oh, look at these cute little animals, instant eldritch horror. Like sacrifices, you got people dying. But with the Plicky Squire, it's going balls to the walls with the children's book theme, and the whole game looks so wholesome and heartwarming and cute. I mean, you get the cuteness with Cult of the Lamb, but this one, it's like you get the cuteness, but it's a storybook and it fits. Whereas one game is shock value, the other game is true wholesomeness. But the gameplay itself just wants me to play it because I love how seamless. I mean, yes, it is a trailer, it is a pre-rendered demo, but you get going from a 2D space to a 3D space seamlessly. Not a lot of games have done that very successfully, and I'm really looking forward to how this does it.
And yeah, go ahead. I know you want to talk.
I was just gonna say, like, this is one of the like crown jewels, I think, of many good-looking indie style games that were in this showcase that I'm just like thrilled to the gills with. If you have anything more specifically about Plucky Squire,
again, like this, like the transition from 2D to 3D, it's just like it's so beautiful and seamless, and I'm like, how are you making this game? It's like so impressive.
I'm genuinely thrilled to see this run on PlayStation 5. I will say real quick, because I just want to contextualize this state of play. I'm so excited because my personal job life is about to change to where I have a more fixed schedule. So I'm going to play more games. And I'm so thrilled about it. Some of them are going to be for Basement Arcade. Some of them are in the state of play announcement for sure. I know it. So I'm just so happy. And real quick, before we get into the ones that we highlighted in the news, I did just want to ask Ben and Ryan, what did you guys think of Foam Stars?
Get it out of my face. No, that looks like the biggest.
Are you
so square? This will be the most negative I've ever been on this podcast, and I try not to be. That is just ripping off Splatoon. That looks like a piece of shit game. That looks awful. That looks so bad. Why would anyone want to play that game? And I'm sorry if you want to play that game. That's great. I'm happy for you. I am never touching that game.
No, for sure.
That looks awful.
Instantly. The second the foam started going and I started to see I'm like, this is Splatoon. I'm sorry, Nintendo has this shit locked down.
I laughed
I feel
so
like
hard.
whenever another company, be it Square, or another developer, in this case Square, because Square Enix is developing the game, whenever they try to take something that Nintendo made it super popular, it made a runaway success, and they try to copy it, it's not going to work.
They're big on fads because they did the Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale like Fortnite 2 that failed.
This is why I wanted to bring it up, only because I was like, it was weird to me this was Square. I was just like, wow, what a weird choice, Square Enix right now. This is just bizarre.
Square Enix is huge, and we mostly talk about their well, I mean, just because like we mostly talk about like their really good games and their JRPG stuff, but they also put out a lot of stuff that we just don't talk about, and like this got a showcase for some reason.
Yeah,
and there were so many other games people were looking forward to that didn't get announced. So I'm like, how much money did they give you for Foam Stars?
I don't know. All I know is that I've never played Splatoon, and I'm never gonna play Foam Stars.
I've never wanted to play Splatoon more than after seeing this trailer.
I do think Splatoon could be fun.
No, that game
if we play
has
together.
a huge. That's like Nintendo's biggest multiplayer franchise. Yeah,
it's
for sure. Huge. I just like it's just not for me.
I feel like if Brandon had a Switch, that could be like a supplement for KO City.
In terms of movement and stuff, absolutely. Actually,
there's a similar construction design in terms of movement and everything. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's a great game. Just not my jam.
Yeah. I will say, like, it did surprise me a little bit. We've talked about like game companies being a little better about like, not getting too far out in the weeds on their release dates.
This one was pretty bad.
There were some 2024 ones.
Yeah.
But I didn't think they were too terrible in announcements, especially because most of the 2024 ones were not AAA titles, and I think AAA titles are the ones that get stickier.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's so bad to hype people up about indies in advance. Most of them were smaller games that were getting the 2024 announcements, and I'm like, that's okay. I don't mind like waiting to learn more.
The biggest thing, because a lot of people were disappointed with this, this is a PlayStation like showcase as opposed to a state of play, where this was supposed to set up like the future of PlayStation for the next year. And in terms of setting up your next entire year, people were disappointed because only truly the next big game we are getting is Spider-Man, because Metal Gear is not coming out next year. That was a CG trailer. That game is not even close to being done. So really we only have the big Spider-Man game to look forward to, because a lot of those games, they're not coming out next year.
Well, we have Spider-Man at the end of the year, but we have Final Fantasy 16 next month.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's
But I don't.
God damn it! I'm gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we were expecting. At least I wasn't expecting
the industry
anything
was.
big.
The industry was because
no, I get it.
The last time this happened was 2 years ago.
Yes,
we get state of plays every couple months. This was supposed to be the next year of our launch or our lineup, and so like I get it.
But this was part of my point of why I was saying with the 2024 thing for the smaller title games. I think that they have confidence of those games coming, and I think they're being reserved about AAA. Like I do think we'll hear more towards the Spider-Man 2 release date of what's coming in 2024, and there will be something AAA to get excited about. But I think they're being careful right now. I think they don't want to overhype, because everybody in the industry is looking at what's happening with Suicide Squad and saying, I don't want to be that.
It's true. Also, just don't make. Well, here's the thing: half these games that were announced were live service games.
That's true.
Like literally all the shooters that we're going to talk about, like Helldivers, Marathon. These are all live service games. So like, PlayStation has said that 60% of their budget next year is going to live service games. 60% of all of their games are going to be live service next year. So just get ready, guys, that a lot of these games look cool. They're not going to be games we're actually going to want to play. I'm just letting you know, unfortunately.
I will admit that more than anything, outside of a couple of select ones that we are going to talk about, it was the indies that were getting me. I'm like, oh man, indies look so good on PS5. I'm just so excited.
Yeah.
I have indies waiting for me to finish Jedi Survivor. I have Season, which I'm just thrilled to get into.
Hell yeah, brother.
Brandon, do you want me to go down the list, or did you want to go down the list?
Oh, I will talk when I have something to say. It's your guys' show now.
All right. Well, first on the list that Brandon so gracefully supplied for me is The Last of Us. The multiplayer project needs more time due to quality and long-term viability concerns. Honestly, I didn't know that Last of Us was making a multiplayer thing.
This is for these two. This is for these two.
So this is really funny after last week, after the Overwatch 2 news of, hey, the game that we announced, Overwatch 2, that was going to be a PvE, player versus enemy.
Doesn't exist.
That game doesn't exist anymore. So the game that people have been waiting for, like me, have been waiting for years, that game doesn't actually exist. And that really pissed off a lot of people. Yeah. Luckily, Overwatch 2 is free to play, so it's not like I bought the game. So like, there's a little leeway, but it was a big dent in video game news, right? A week later, this was announced.
A key difference being at least that this was not the core team of Naughty Dog. Yeah. Having dedicated a bunch of time to something they ended up scrapping.
Yes. But it was, much like Overwatch 2, it was a project that was too ambitious for them to finish.
Yes.
And Last of Us 2 came out 4 years ago at this point. And we heard about this game 3 years ago at this point. Yes. We haven't seen a single trailer for it.
No.
And then they put out, hey, the thing we're putting out is way too hard. We're going to scale back significantly, which makes me significantly less excited because, hey, The Last of Us multiplayer is really good. They were not just making another multiplayer game; they were making basically another big ass game.
Everybody
they couldn't do it, and I get that. That sucks. And like, it's just a situation where like I guess sometimes you shouldn't have to try. You shouldn't go so big. You know, this is their first live service game. This is going to be a live service game, battle pass, multiplayer, cosmetics, all that shit. And Naughty Dog has never made something like that before, and I think they were failing at it, unfortunately.
Yeah, a lot of people have said this was basically going to be the Division with Last of Us,
and that sounds cool.
Setting. And that does sound cool. Like the Division had its advantages, but like I was also nervous when they first announced it because I was like, it sounds like a cool idea, but I don't know how I feel about how they can pull it off because The Last of Us is just so driven narratively, and Naughty Dog is driven narratively, and so like as a studio, I just don't think it was in their full capability to tackle what this was without cheapening the product.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, when I hear Last of Us, I think narrative gameplay, amazing story-driven video game. I don't think multiplayer,
but. This is not me like discounting that, but Ben, Last of Us 1 has multiplayer and it's very good. That's why they're making Last of Us 2 multiplayer. And they wanted to make it bigger than the first game. And they said, okay, cool, we're making it bigger than just traditional 5v5 deathmatch, right? They wanted to make it into an actual game. It was too big for them to do, unfortunately. I respect the out of them just saying, hey, we couldn't do it. Like, I know it's a hard decision to make instead of just buckling down and we're going to spend the next 6-7 years of our life making this multiplayer component to a game that came out 7 years ago. It sucks, man. I get it. It's just unfortunate this is Naughty Dog it's happening to, because that multiplayer game would have been awesome because that first Last of Us multiplayer is awesome. That gameplay is incredible, and doing it against real people is super tense. Being stealthy, trying to kill other people against real players, it's incredible. Like, it's better than it ever should have been. And we're not gonna get that, unfortunately. So it isn't a bummer.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But we got actual, good news, which is good.
Yep. Marathon. Bungie is developing a new shooter game, a revival of a 1994 game that was developed. It's not a sequel or a reboot, but it will take bits of inspiration from it. PvP extraction shooter where you can either play solo or in a squad of 3 players, and it will have cross-save and cross-play between PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, as it is not a Sony exclusive.
Yeah, this was one of the biggest hell yeah moments, and then because they didn't tell you what the game was, it was just a CG trailer. Like, hell yeah, Marathon's back. It's like a Doom clone. A dude like this. It's like an old school Doom clone. It's before Halo. The announcement trailer looks awesome. It has such cool style. Bungie's so good at developing their own worlds. And then they saw that it's a live PvP extraction shooter. And that's like what the Division is, and it's what there's a lot of Ubisoft games that do this too. It's like the big new thing that's not battle royale, and it made a lot of people really bummed out because the days of Bungie ever making a single player game again are over. We are never getting a Halo ever again. They are now owned by Sony. They are a multiplayer studio for life, and that's just a bummer. That's just a bummer because Marathon, I've never played Marathon. It's an old ass game, but the aesthetics of that are really cool. And I was ready for a story, and they'll have some multiplayer story, but not like a Halo story, So it was kind of like here's that Sony initiative happening right now.
I won't deny there's still an excitement level because like Bungie knows how to make a good shooter.
They're the best. They're top
like
tier.
I keep going back to Destiny partially because I like the world, but also because like every time I go back, I'm like, oh yeah. Shooting feels great here. It feels better than any other video game I play.
It's true.
I don't know what they know, but they know.
They got the juice. They got the sauce.
So like it's gonna be fun to play for sure. But I do echo Ryan's sentiment that like I kind of want more meat on them bones from Bungie because like it feels like it's too close to Destiny.
I don't know how many looter shooters or games based on loot were just like I increase the number by 1. every mission. I'm just like, I don't need every game to be that. Honestly.
We've talked before on Pause Menu about
Squad.
like the future of live service is not the future of video games, because very much in the same vein of what we talk about with streaming services, like the idea of endless profitability is not the goal, and it shouldn't be the goal. And as long as every video game keeps chasing that, they'll never succeed, because like only a handful of games can wear that crown for a long time, and they've pretty much been chosen. It's Fortnite, and kind of Overwatch still, and Apex Legends.
Yeah. Call of Duty's hot.
And Call of Duty. And like, you're not gonna break the ceiling of those games.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, that actually reminds me of a really good point. Friends of the podcast, friends of Pause Menu on the podcast, Gamers Week podcast.
Mm-hmm.
When Tears of the Kingdom came out, there was an article. I forgot where exactly it came from, but Tears of the Kingdom, essentially, the author of that article said that game is one of the most important things, and it shows and it's essentially going to shake up the gaming industry in some way, shape, or form, because it's an offline single player only game.
Yep.
And that game sold 10 million copies in less than 3 weeks.
No, it's been 3 days. The
game's
3
barely
been out 3
days.
weeks.
Excuse me, 3 days.
It's technically less than 3 weeks was true.
It's probably sold like up to 15 at this point. Like, it's doing Elden Ring numbers. It's doing bananas, like genre defying numbers.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And because this game, not only is it critically acclaimed, gamers everywhere are loving it. It is sold like hotcakes. This is gonna, hopefully something like this is gonna put into the minds of developers and publishers and pretty much the entire game industry that single player narrative games are not dead. And experiences like that, I mean, we have Elden Ring beforehand. I would even say our God of War Ragnarok, that sold batshit crazy too.
Absolutely.
Those games are the ones that are always front runner for Game of the Year. Those are the games that everyone talks about.
Yes.
All these live service games are going to go under the water, or they're going to go under the bus. So, I mean, while it sucks that, a lot of live service games, they don't happen. We have the kings, Fortnite, Overwatch, Apex, and Valorant. But everything else, all the games that people want to play, that people talk about, single player experiences.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, as we've talked about with Tears of the Kingdom, and hand in hand with Elden Ring being Game of the Year last year, and sandwiched right between them is the narrative game of God of War Ragnarok.
Yep.
Like, those three heavy hitters, just a year apart amongst each other, that is a signal that, like, but it takes time, right? You know, we're not going to see, we're still seeing so many studios chasing the live service thing, and we're going to see that for another like 4 or 5 years before it dies off, and they realize that it's not, because it takes so long to develop games. But I do think you're right, Ben. I think we are at the beginning of the recognition that innovation is important.
Yeah.
And that, like, the single player experience is still valuable, but not only that, just like individual identity for a video game is more important. And the thing is, like, the more live service games we hear about, they can sound cool. There's a lot of fun things you can do with them. But the fact that they are driven by the model of constant, like, sustainability of what they're doing and like all that, like, it's the difference between something like feeling like a fun multiplayer experience like Aliens Fireteam Elite, or feeling like something where you're constantly being drip fed content rather than getting a whole meal to enjoy in a multiplayer experience at once.
And to be fair, I don't want to knock multiplayer games.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I mean,
we play a multiplayer game all the time.
Yeah, multiplayer games are awesome, and there's always that, like you said, Last of Us has a great multiplayer. I didn't know Last of Us had a great multiplayer, and I'm like, oh, that would actually be really cool. I didn't play it for the multiplayer, but Doom, 2016's Doom had I thought it had a decent multiplayer. I loved playing death matches in that game.
I love being monsters.
Yeah, to me, I always feel okay, Halo. Obviously, Halo took off because of its multiplayer, but when you actually look at the story of it, it's a fantastic story. It's a fantastic campaign and co-op.
I mean, frankly, like, if you really want to get into the weeds on it, like, I think Halo takes off because it was, like, at the moment of Halo's release, like a match for match of, you know, single player and multiplayer experiences. Whether that was multiplayer in the campaign or multiplayer in the PvP, it all gelled and it all work together, and like they had put the same amount of care and thought and work into the multiplayer experience as the single player experience, and like Halo forms a unique franchise and beast because of that.
It's just unfortunate because, and honestly, like I'm not going to put all the blame, but a lot of the blame is Call of Duty, because Call of Duty became the highest grossing, not just shooter franchise, the highest grossing video game franchise, like a year after year, because they had a great campaign and incredible multiplayer. And then they did 1 year of an experiment where, hey, it takes so much money and so much time to make these campaigns. What if we just did 1 year where we didn't have a campaign and it sold just as well, if not better? Because it's always growing. And it turns out like I don't know the statistic, but I know it's really small. It is less than like 10% of people play the campaigns who buy Call of Duty. It's there for the multiplayer. Like that is the core, it's not just all dude bros. Like people love Call of Duty because it is incredible shooter. It is a different type of shooter than what Bungie makes. I prefer Bungie shooters, but Call of Duty is popular for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think like, we've talked about it plenty on Pause Menu, and we can move on to other things like that are in the showcase specifically, but it is the eternal chasing of that infinite growth model of getting subscribers into a Brawl Pass. That is not going to last forever. You cannot have that many. There's a finite amount of gamers in the world, and they will only subscribe to so many games for live service passes. Sure. And there are ones that have risen above the heap. I'm not saying that there probably won't be 1 or 2 more that are going to rise up to sit not at Fortnite's level, but maybe just below. But it's going to be only like 1 or 2 more. It's not going to be like 10.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
And to say one actual positive, and you did say it, like this being a Bungie game marathon, it will feel great to play. Whether I want to play it is a different story, but I know it's going to at least be a good game.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well,
and like that's the thing is like I just don't want the Brawl Pass model. Like if you're going to give me something that's on the scale with Bungie of Aliens Fireteam Elite, yeah, I'm there. I'll play some missions with some friends and like get better equipment as we do it, and maybe want to go back because that's fun.
Yeah.
And especially if the shooting feels as good as Bungie's shooting does, yeah, you got me. But if it's like, yo, you got to commit to like that Brawl Pass, you got to be checking in weekly, I'm like, no, that's not going to work. Like I'll play it once in a while, but you're not going to get me like that. Destiny didn't do it. Yeah. You're not going to do it.
Nope. Well, anyways, moving on from that, in other news, Dragon's Dogma 2. We got an announcement trailer, and that's it.
That's more than enough, because this game is a cult classic, the first one that no one ever thought a sequel would ever come out because it sold horribly. But it is one of like the biggest cult classics in gaming, because it is one of the few games that like I would call it like a 7 out of 10 at best. But it is a game that tries to do so much more than what it's capable of. And it's not a broken game, but it's a very janky game, very janky. But it is an open world Skyrim-esque game where you can climb on all the monsters like Shadow of the Colossus. So you're fighting giant snakes and hydras and ogres, and you can climb on top of them and stab them in the eye. It had a great system where you can customize and create your own minions called pawns. And they're basically, for all intents and purposes, your slaves, but they're like mindless people that you can create. And you can create your own D&D adventure group, basically. So you can have like every type of class you want, and you go and just do adventures in the town. And it's incredible. Like it was very simple, but the combat was really, really deep. Like some of the deepest for a 360 game. And it's beloved, really janky. A sequel's coming out, and the most exciting thing is it looks just like that game. It looks like an incredibly polished version of the janky ass combat in that game, where you're climbing over monsters and you're hitting things that are not really reacting to it. Like it has the jank that you kind of want in one of these games that gives it the charm, but it looks like a PS5 game. And now that it's on a PS5, it could be so much bigger and so many more moves and so many more pawns.
And it's building off a foundation now.
Yeah, and like it is the same world, and like that'll make me revisit this game that I haven't played in years. But like, man, like it was such a fun, like unexpected reveal. Very, very excited for this one.
A total side tangent that I was just thinking about, because we were talking about like the like takeoff of live service and like how that created models and how other things create models and what Tears of the Kingdom and Elden Ring will create. Do you know what is a stunning feature I'm surprised didn't become like renowned in like a whole bunch of games after it came out?
The Nemesis system?
The Nemesis system.
I know exactly the reason, because everyone brings it up. Warner Brothers patented it, so nobody else can use it for games. And they still haven't used it to this day.
Good Lord.
Rumors is Monolith, the company who made Shadow of Mordor, is making Wonder Woman. And the rumors are it's in Wonder Woman's game, where you're fighting like Greek people and monsters and battling the legions to go up to lieutenants. because like that is the greatest thing to happen in video games, and Warner Brothers was like, we know we got this on lock, so nobody can use it.
So stupid.
Yep.
Rat bastards. Well, anyways, moving on. Assassin's Creed Mirage. We have a gameplay trailer of the next installment of Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series. It looks cool.
Yeah,
it looks
That's
like
all I'm gonna
back to
say
the roots after the last 3.
Yes. Yeah. So I have played almost every single one, and that is too many. But the last 3 have been giant open world RPGs in the vein of like Dark Souls combat with parrying and shields and stuff. And like it's been great. I love those first 2. That third one, it was too much. It was a huge game. Valhalla. It was during the pandemic. I was in my Viking mode. I was watching all my Viking shows. I was ready for Valhalla, and it's just such a big game, and not in the big where I'm enjoying it. It's just like that's a lot of shit that you didn't need to make. It's
a lot of chores.
It's just a lot of chores, and it's like, guys, it is so big, and like not in like the Zelda way where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do any of this stuff. Like it's just the same shit. Right. So it's really great that they're going back to basics. It is going to probably still be like an open world, but it is like considerably smaller. We're not doing boat shit. It is more about like you investigating your targets. You have to learn about the people you're going to kill before you can just kill them, because in the recent games you just have like magic and you just know where your opponents are. But like the original games, you have to do detective work too. Like, oh, my guy that I have to kill is wearing a cloak and he has a beard and he likes to smoke. So you have to look for those things, that kind of stuff. And that's coming back to the series. So like it is going back to an Assassin's Creed game that I personally don't like as much as the newer ones, but it does look like a better game than the last one was. So I'm excited to be here.
I will say like just like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, I was gonna say it looks like it's going back to basics.
Yep.
I think because I really wanted to hop on the Assassin's Creed chain when I first heard about the game. Like when I first saw it, Assassin's Creed 2, I thought it was like the coolest thing.
2007.
Oh,
longer.
God, I'm old.
I know.
But then of course Ubisoft just kept cranking out Assassin's Creed after Assassin's Creed, and I heard the quality just kept dipping, and that's why my interest in the series also left. It's like, ooh, other games instead.
Yeah.
This game does look like very interesting. And one of the things, of course, with any new Assassin's Creed game is like, what time period are we going into? This Middle Eastern setting looks gorgeous. I mean, I know it's because of the PS5, but it looks absolutely stunning.
Fun fact, it's from a character based in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the newest game. It is a character that you, as Ivor, the Viking lady, you meet, and then it's his side story that was going to be DLC that they turned into a full game. So like this takes place during the Viking era of like 1100s, 1200s England, but you're just going to the Middle East, so it's like around like 1200.
I do want to say, just like from the small bit that we do have given to us, it looks far more considerate of the representation that it's putting to the game than the earliest releases of Assassin's Creed. I think there just looks like there's a lot more culture and thoughtfulness put to the environment and character designs
I will say
and everything.
The last 3, they've been really
no. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like it's going back to the roots, but it looks like they're trying to take some lessons over time.
Sure, yeah.
Because like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 are fun games. There's some cultural stuff that's maybe not the best.
What do you mean? In Assassin's Creed 2, you meet your cousin. He says, "It's a me, Mario."
But this, especially doing like Middle East stuff, I think that they're bringing a lot, it seems, visually to the table to be more positively representative,
absolutely,
than perhaps like the initial Assassin's Creed was. And that's why I was highlighting like the going back to roots thing. I haven't played them, but I'm well aware of what you're saying, like with the previous entries, that they've been far more like conscious of this, and I think they're bringing that element with them in going back to the roots. And I think that's something really cool.
The absolute coolest thing that the last 3 games have done is they have had a museum history mode where it is the entire open world game, but there's no combat. You are simply walking around or flying around and going to the actual like places and learning about them. And there's videos and there's historians that talk to you about the places you're visiting in game. So like the last like decade of Assassin's Creed has been like hardcore, despite it being magical and shit. Like these are all real locations with real history and all the real people you're interacting with, all like Cleopatra and all these nonsense people. Like, in Assassin's Creed 3, you meet like Ben Franklin and shit because it's during the Revolution. Like it's nonsense shit. You hang out with George Washington. Like it's It's really great. Like that is why Assassin's Creed has withstood the test of time, because you don't get games that are giant open world representations of the real world like this. Like you don't get like entire Rome rebuilt or the Middle East or somewhere in Japan. Like you just don't get games like that, especially if they're in olden times. Like
not a lot of period piece games that go back pre-noir
with this budget, at least, for sure. Yeah, so like I always respect, and like the newest, like the next one is going to be like the Japan one, the ones everyone's been waiting for. They haven't done a samurai one yet on the big scale. They did a Nintendo DS one, but like the Japan samurai one is going to be insane with everything they build up to. So like I'm excited.
Yeah, nice.
Mm-hmm. And in other news, Alan Wake 2, a new trailer was released, and also some news that this game is going to be digital only.
Yeah.
Which has a lot of people up in arms about it.
Yeah. And this is just rumor that it is so they can actually make it cheaper than $70, because that is now the base price of games. They want it to be cheaper digitally because Remedy is the dopest video game company, but that is just rumors right now. So like, I hope that's true. Ben, guess what? One game you're going to be playing for an hour in Basement Arcade this summer.
Let me guess. It's called Alan Wake 2.
No, it's called Alan Wake 1. I'm not going to make you play a sequel of a game you haven't played yet until you get some context.
This which game I'm going to be playing this year, Alan Wake 1.
Hell yeah. Alan Wake 1 is an incredible game. Every game Remedy makes is great. They did Max Payne, they did Control, which was my game of the year when that game came out. It is literally Stephen King inspired, because in the first 5 minutes of the game, he's talking about how Stephen King is his hero. It's about a writer in a small town and how his writing is coming to life and it's ruining his life, and how it is a very, very psychological Twin Peaksy, literally like the most inspired by Twin Peaks game ever made. There is literally a log lady in the game. It's incredible, and it is also a huge cult classic that no one thought we'd get a sequel to. And baby, I'm just.
And they did a great remake.
They did
of it just a little while ago,
which Ben will be playing.
And I will be playing, and it's going to be a good time.
Thank
friends.
you, PlayStation Plus, for giving it to me for free. I love it. The thing that's so exciting about this game is that first game is very spooky, but like they're calling this like their first true horror game, and every game they've ever made has been spooky and horror. So I don't know what the hell that means that they're actually going to make a horror game now, because Control is the scariest game I've ever played, and that's like the X-Files in a spooky haunted house, right? I'm so excited because, one, you're not only playing as Alan Wake, who is back and has amnesia or whatever, you're playing as a black FBI protagonist. I don't know if I've ever played a video game where you're a black FBI protagonist in a horror game. That's incredible. The dual identity thing is going to be great. It looks like Alan is like in a spooky New York. All the shit could be happening in his mind, or is it real? It's a video game. Who knows? Just so thrilling. Looks real good.
I echo all Ryan said.
Does look pretty good, and part of me is like excited to experience Alan Wake, because a lot of my friends on Twitter were talking about how much they love the first one. Yes. But then I realized, oh no, it's a horror game, so I'm like, I'm good. It's gonna be torture for me.
It has honestly one of my favorite like gameplay mechanics of like the bad guys are covered in shadows, and light is the main mechanic of the game. And it has some of the best lighting in games. That's why Alan Wake 2 is going to look so good, because it's all based in lighting. You have to shine light on enemies to disperse the light before you can shoot them, because they're covered basically in like demon goo. It's incredible. It pushes like tech forward in terms of lighting stuff. So like I'm so excited to like ooh, aim my gun and my thing. I'm jumps for it.
All right. Well, this is the one thing I thought you were super being Jones for. And actually, the second part of this bit, I'm excited about. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Remake of the third MGS game is finally confirmed, but they also announced in the same beat right after the announcement of the trailer, the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, which is a collection of Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid, which is including VR missions and special missions, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty HD Collection version, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater HD Collection version. Essentially, a giant collection of Metal Gear Solid games on modern consoles. For me, I'm excited about that, because it's like, cool, collection, games in one system, done.
It's also important that that's called Volume 1, which means
yes.
of all the games that you cannot play, Metal Gear Solid 4 remains on the PS3. Right. You can't play that game unless
it's coming.
But it will be coming after this volume because this is going to sell like gangbusters.
See, I'm thrilled about this because I've wanted to go through the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and I'll tell you right now that my intention is, I don't know if it'll be me joining Ryan as he plays through this version, or if it's going to be Ryan joining me. But,
no, I've played him 100 times. I need you to play it.
Yeah,
I will be your man in the air, just like Snake.
But I definitely want to do this, and I want to do this journey with Ryan. So I'm excited about these originals coming to PS5. I think this is wonderful.
To be honest, I am more excited about the remasters. They're not going to be like 4K super. We're not remaking all the games. They're going to be up-res HD version, which is all I need. Because those games look great anyway.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was an HD version on the PS3, and there was actually like 2 Metal Gear Solid collections for the PS3 that came out. But if you have a PS3, cool, because I still have one that's plugged in. But at the same time, I would much rather get this from my PS5.
Yes. Oh, with the PS5 controller, dude. Like I want to because so much of those original Metal Gear games, like the original PlayStation controllers had context-sensitive buttons. So Metal Gear specifically, you would slightly press to hold up your gun, and then you hold it down to shoot it. So like that stuff is gonna be really cool with the PlayStation 5 controller.
Yeah. Not only that, one of the big things why the PlayStation Classic was heavily criticized was because it came without the analog controller, without the rumble. And of course, when you're fighting Psycho Mantis, and you have to you let it down, the controller starts vibrating.
That's a fun.
And you have like a whole bunch of other cool stuff with the Psycho Mantis, like messing with your PlayStation 1 system.
Well, that's just like he's just reading your memory card. Like if you have Castlevania memory on your card or something else, it's like, oh, I see you've played Castlevania, and it's like, whoa, how are you doing this? It's like you're reading my memory card. It's really in 1999, it was destroying people's brains.
Yeah. I bet. Well, I mean, there was like this huge thing with like the controller not having the rumble function, but like you said, with the PS5 haptic controller, with the DualSense 5, they can do so much with the Metal Gear Solid games. And also, it's not just the PlayStation games, also the NES games too. Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Those came out
5 games.
Yeah.
We're getting.
That's incredible. So we're getting a great collection. I'm looking forward to it. I've never played any of the Metal Gear Solid games in my life. Besides trying to play Metal Gear Solid on a demo disc and failing miserably at it.
It's not understated of me to saying that Metal Gear Solid is one of the most important video game franchises of all time, not just in terms of video games, but also for cinema. Mm-hmm. Because in the way that Hideo Kojima was inspired by Hollywood cinema of the 80s and 90s, people love how weird Hideo Kojima is, and he inspires so many people both in video games and movies as well. Because he is just as much a movie guy, even though doesn't make movies. He hangs out with celebrities every day, all day. He's just like hanging out with Mads Mikkelsen, smoking because he's in his game, Death Stranding. Like it's good shit. It's awesome. Let's talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, because they're not calling it Metal Gear Solid 3. For those of you who don't know, people might be wondering, wait, they're remaking the third game. That doesn't make any sense. It's because it's a prequel. It's the first in the chronology. It's like making Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, first instead of A New Hope, right? Mm-hmm. People are speculating that it's because they're going to retell the story from chronological order, which I think is a mistake because, again, stories are told in orders for a reason. You don't actually release the Phantom Menace first because that ruins the storyline of building stuff up, blah, 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 that kind of stuff, right? The thing that is the most concerning is, one, no Hideo Kojima. Obviously, they booted him. They hate him. He hates them. That's fine. I get that. There's no mention of who's making this game. Right. Not a single mention of the developer team. And then the developer team has come out and saying, hey, it's going to be the original cast. We're so excited. We're going to adhere to the vision. It's going to be, extremely faithful. We don't know who's making it. Just Konami's making it. And Konami doesn't make video games anymore. Right. The last video game they put out was Metal Gear Survive, which is a Konami-less video game that was one of the worst games ever made. And they it was awful. It made me really, really sad. So I have no faith right now in this game. The fact that I'm getting the HD remasters of those games, meaning I'm just getting the original great trilogy. Right. I'm hoping for the best. Like nothing would make me happier than to play one of the greatest games ever made in PS5 fidelity. Like that is a true dream. But
if they're going to be changing it and taking away from Kojima what he stamped on it, I feel like that's a cause for pause.
And it's not like Hideo Kojima is such a singular person. Like he is very much like a comparative is someone like David Lynch. He's a weird ass man and he makes weird ass art. The fact that he has one of the most successful video game franchises, which is about like it's anti-capitalism, anti-nuke. The whole thing's about how Snake's trying to stop the world from using nukes. And people love that shit. It's incredible. and he just throws out like movie lines, like Metal Gear Solid 3. Half the time he's talking about Godzilla with one of the girls in his. He's like, "Yeah, I saw this movie Godzilla. It's a real great statement on nuclear blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What is this game you're making, dude? This is insane." Without him, I don't know, man. Like you can try to recapture like the energy of someone like David Lynch, but if you're not David Lynch, it doesn't feel the same. So like I don't know.
That's the thing, is that to me, like I'm more hype about getting to play the originals because I want the experience of Kojima's voice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to me that if you are in conjunction releasing this HD Volume 1 collection of those things, that you are also making a remake that is 100% faithful to the other game you are releasing in this HD remaster. You are probably changing it.
Well, I mean, small changes are fine because like remakes are so hot right now, specifically Capcom. All the Resident Evils everyone has been good. Dead Space just came out. That was incredible. So like, I don't mind a remake coming out, but like not having like I don't know who's making the game.
Right.
And that just rubs me the wrong way. Like normally, like when a big announcement like this, like you're remaking one of the biggest games of all time, you're not going to tell me who's behind it. That just seems weird. Also, it means that I don't think the game's coming out for like 4 or 5 years. I think this is one of those unfortunate announcements. And if I'm wrong, I would love to be wrong. But like, I don't even know who's making the game. I don't expect it to come out in 6 months. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll get those remasters. So hell yeah.
Even because once again, this was just an announcement trailer of Solid Snake in the jungle with a bunch of animals eating each other. So,
I knew it was Metal Gear because there's a boss in the game called The End. He's like a 150-year-old sniper man, and he has a parrot. And I was like, I know that parrot. That guy's an asshole. He's always talking shit. That parrot talks shit. You can shoot it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, hopefully Delta is good. Hopefully, but at the same time, we have a great collection coming our way for PS5. So hallelujah!
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yep. We got 2 more left. The next one is Helldivers 2, an announcement trailer, and I could have swear this was Starship Troopers.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah, would you like to know more?
Yeah, Helldivers.
I would like to know more about Helldivers.
Again, I feel like this was like the showcase of cult classics because Helldivers is the Helldivers one does not look like this game. Which is why a lot of people are actually really excited. I wasn't a big fan of the first Helldivers, the way it is a top-down perspective, almost like, like a Diablo or like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but like top-down. And it's more like a twin-stick shooter, where this is like a 3D, like almost Left 4 Dead-ass looking, you're building stuff. Like, it is the Starship Trooper game that I've always wanted. Whereas the first
Fire Team,
or Fire Team,
getting a lot of that.
Yeah, but like I jive with Starship Troopers more.
No. I meant in gameplay.
Yes.
But yes, it is. There is no way that Starship Troopers was not on the mind when they constructed this trailer. It's so baked in.
Yeah, going onto an alien planet and like terraforming it for the good of the Empire and all that shit, and like very tongue in cheek and like, yeah, murder, no big deal. Like,
encounter the local wildlife.
Yeah. I am all about it. And like this gameplay change, I'm like, oh my god, like I really wanted to like that first game, but it didn't do it for me. It just wasn't for me. This is like the change that I'm like, oh, you guys, oh hell yeah.
Of everything in the state of play, this was the one I was watching where I'm like, all right, so this might be the game for the 4 of us.
Yeah.
I want Brandon to enter the chat
because
I think this is the one where, we might all have a good time together with this one.
I would like to know more.
And I thought this looked incredible.
Yes.
I love the opening of the trailer, which where this dude just looking at his wife and child being murdered by this bug, and he's just like, no.
There's just no way. There's just no way Starship Troopers was not the template for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this looks awesome. I really want to play this.
Yeah,
I really hope it's good. I really hope it's good because Redfall fell apart.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that would have been a fun one for the 4 of us, but I'm really hoping that this could be a fun new thing for the 4 of us.
That first game is good. It just wasn't my jam. So like I have full faith in the team that this will be a good one.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, the showstopper, Spider-Man 2's gameplay trailer. Was not expecting the symbiote suit that early.
It's crazy how he just kept yelling, "Shocker!"
Well, you think
Shocker!
Well, you think about it, like, we got to get the symbiote suit early. Yes, the symbiote suit early because we know we get Venom and we know we get Tony Todd voicing Venom. So, like, we got to get through the whole experience of Peter wearing the suit before that. So,
what's so interesting is I guess I just didn't think that we would do the symbiote suit at all, because you know what we've seen of the Venom of the Venom symbiote is in the pod with Harry.
Yeah.
And that, so I thought when Harry comes out, he's Venom already, and that's going to be the thing. But seeing this, I was like, oh shit, right, of course. What was I thinking? Of course we're going to do this.
And by God, the way they've incorporated it into gameplay is just magnificent.
Oh, incredible.
The really cool thing that people have pointed out is, as you remember in the first game, there was like 40 suits to choose from, and you could pick any of them at any time. But that also has to work with a symbiote suit now, right? So basically, you can equip any time, and you will always have the symbiote with you, and it's just an L1, R1 of choosing different moves. So you can wear any suit, and it will just do the mystique of turning you black. So you can be any Spider-Man you want still, and become symbiote Spider-Man. It is a separate ability than being Spider-Man. So I'm like, because if you look on the UI, you have L1, R1, and then like the little like 4 buttons pop up. So you have like Guardians of the Galaxy, like so many attacks.
We kind of get a hint of that in the not the Kraven cinematic, but the one when Spider-Man reveals himself, because when he shoots out, he's wearing his Spider-Man suit, and we see the Venom suit engulf him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it looks good. It looks really good. Yeah. I love this design idea, that the kind of like sliminess, I guess, of it as it sits on him, the way the sheen is on the eyes and the mask. I love the look. I love that they already gave us plenty of a snippet to get the idea of, you know, Peter's engaging a little with those dark emotions, and Miles is like, oh man, do I have to, which really is going to create such a fun dynamic putting the two of them in the game. I'm really excited about that.
Yep.
I love you can switch between them whenever.
Yeah.
That's
incredible.
Big Boy.
We don't know that yet, because it was contextual in this trailer of when you switch between characters. So I am not fully convinced yet that you will always be able to switch between them. I'm not fully yet convinced.
I think for story stuff, it'll be controlled, but like when you're doing the missions in the city, I think it can be like, rather than fast travel, it'll be like, yo, Miles, can you take care of XYZ story side quest thing, and you switch over.
Okay.
I think that's probably
what
the story stuff is so structured with Insomniac. I can't imagine that they're going to give us the full range of like, you could just switch whenever.
Yes.
But I think the side stuff.
That's what I was thinking.
To extrapolate on your point, I have a feeling that there's going to be, because, you know, in between major story missions, you have the stuff where you can like swing around New York, do side missions, stop crime because you're Spider-Man.
Yep.
And also you could like, you have like a list of side quests you could do as Peter Parker, but a different list as Miles Morales. And you can switch between the two before you tackle a big story event. I think that's something they're going to do. And that's when you can switch between them freely. I hope that's the case. Other than that, I do love how the combat is still kind of different between Miles and Peter. I love how Miles has his Venom strike, and it looks really good in the game.
What I wonder, they might not go this far. You might have to figure it out on your own. It might not tell you. But I do wonder if there will be like a difficulty scaling of like certain encounters. Like just think of like the stuff we've done in the previous games, like going into some gang leader's warehouse and like, well, with Peter Parker, this is going to be a breeze. With Miles' abilities, this is going to be a little bit more challenging. Like you gotta think about how you're going to use those things, depending. I'm just thinking about like how you unlock things, because we still will.
It's still a skill tree. It's going to be the same skill tree.
Exactly. But like, because Peter and Miles are doing different things, because Peter has the symbiote suit, for example, and Miles has like his electric powers. And things like that.
And we know they have two different skill trees.
Yeah. Right, and so depending on who you advance, might make something more like, oh, for this side thing, I'm probably going to want to use Miles because I've pushed Miles into this. Not that the game is designing specific things to work against you.
I think you're going to be building them simultaneously at the same time because they don't want you not to play both characters.
Sure.
I think I think Ben's right. You're going to do side stuff for both, but they're not going to limit, because there's no way you can play the game. Let's say you only want to play as Miles, but you have to play as Peter Parker. Like you have to, so you have to unlock that stuff. So like I think they are going to evenly give it to you, as opposed to like an RPG where you have to literally, oh, I want to go this path. I think it's going to be a little more free, so you don't have to be, you don't feel restricted.
All I know
don't think you're going to do that for this time.
All I know is I need to beat Miles Morales.
Yeah, you need to start that.
You got time.
I think. I'm sorry. Did you want to give a bullshit excuse?
No, I was gonna say thankfully, thanks to my PlayStation Plus subscription, I got it for free. It's on my hard drive right now, ready to go.
So you don't have an excuse, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I don't have an excuse. I'm gonna play it before.
He just has like 600 games he has to get through in this year before that.
So So what's really interesting about this trailer is we learn that the map is bigger. They've expanded the map in this game. Is this the most significant expansion in a Spider-Man game yet? Because I don't remember ever playing a Spider-Man game, and I've played most of them, where you encounter much outside of like the island of Manhattan.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, they only get bigger with technology allowing it to get bigger. So yeah,
I will say, like, one of the things, as Ryan pointed out as well, like, it's really great to go back to Queens. We haven't been in Queens since Ultimate Spider-Man.
It's the same map. Everyone needs to be prepared. Like, New York didn't change in the 4 years since the last game. Like, I need like
no, but Zelda... it's not. Yes, the island of Manhattan is the same map, but it's also bigger because we're going to Queens.
No, yes, no. I'm just
so it's not entirely the same map.
No. Not entirely, but the map that we played in Spider-Man 1 is going to be in that game. It's just going to be, we're going to explain more outside of it. We're going to places we haven't been. It's that same map that we played in Spider-Man 1 for 50 hours.
Right.
Like, it's just going to look better. And that's not a bad thing. That's not me saying it's a bad thing. Again, Zelda's a game where we're doing the exact same stuff, but like, people online are getting mad. Like, the people who don't understand how game development works. Like, why would New York look different? It's the same city. Right. Like, people are getting mad about that for sure. Silly.
I mean,
well, one of the things
they're adding.
No, go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just about to say the fact that they're adding more boroughs of the city of New York is actually a better thing. I mean, I don't care that the map, the island of Manhattan is going to be the same thing. The fact that I have, honestly, I'm not a New York local. I don't know I know bits of New York. I know the famous landmarks like everyone does, but I'm still going to explore that map like it's me exploring it for the very first time because I've forgotten a lot of the stuff. And the fact that I have more boroughs to explore, Queens, and I'm assuming Brooklyn, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like,
that Ultimate Spider-Man fight is gonna happen with Peter and Venom on the football field. It's got to happen. Recreate it. I played that opening of Ultimate Spider-Man like 1,000 times.
Ultimate Spider-Man's so good. I think like the thing that's, for me, it's like it doesn't matter that New York doesn't change because where they take you,
or it's gonna be
in terms of like. Even just where they decide to put the side quest stuff, it doesn't even have to be the main story stuff. It feels refreshing. Like the difference between the first Spider-Man game and Miles Morales, like I still felt like I was going places I didn't feel like I was retreading.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's fine. Like I have full faith. The fact that they've taken us to the water, and are using the environment off the coast is thrilling. And like just going after the lizard in that way, I think is going to be really exciting. I love the lizard design.
Yeah,
love it.
With how big the map is becoming, obviously, like you would need faster traversal, and so they're just giving you like wind tunnels just in New York. And then he's also getting the spider wings, like what are they called?
To travel.
Squirrel suit. Wings.
I love those.
Just considerably faster. And I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be so good. What's in that first game, and Miles is so good.
What strikes me as really impressive is that I didn't feel like this was the same game. They didn't just make the same game. They didn't just, here's the original game, slap on a new game and give it to us. It literally feels like they built a new game here.
I won't say that. I can tell this is a sequel, but that's absolutely not a bad thing. Iteration on gaming is
I will
totally
say
okay.
I will say in terms of like not gameplay, but what they're offering in the gameplay, they're clearly like advancing what they're thinking of for you to be able to do to make it feel fresh. Like Miles is going to be given a whole new repertoire of how to combine his abilities, how to utilize his abilities, how to think about using the tools that you will have at your disposal. They are constantly like expanding on what's possible inside of the gameplay that was existing before.
In the Arkham games, when you can do like combo moves, where you hold like square and X, like if you're with Nightwing or Batman and you guys can like take out, I guarantee it will be some of that cool shit, which wasn't in those first games. So like, I need to see gameplay of you in the open world with you two together. Because as of right now, I just don't know. Because there's no reason that shouldn't be. But I play a lot of open world games where like restrictions are more there than you think. Again, and you need a game like Zelda to open your eyes of like, oh yeah, we can do more than what you just normally given. So like I pray, because again, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out 10 years ago, and that has 3 protagonists that you could switch to at any time whenever you want. Mm-hmm. So if we're not doing that in 2023, we got a problem. So like I pray we can do that, because I'll be sick as hell.
I want to clarify just what I said about it looking like a new game. When Arkham Origins came out, it was very clearly the Arkham City map that they just slapped a new map next to it and said, "Here you go."
Yeah.
I do not feel this way with this game. Like it feels to me what I get here, and I understand if I'm the only one that's whatever. It feels more like, Arkham Asylum to Arkham City. Like it feels like it's a new game.
I see what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. It is much more new than like not. Like they could like. Insomniac is not a company I ever worry about like phoning it in like other like sometimes an Ubisoft will. So like they didn't have to go as hard as they appear to be in this game. Like they didn't have to like do all this, but like it looks like it is going hog wild crazy.
I think especially the leap from the original to this is massive. Like Miles gives you some of it in between. But if you look at just the original going to this one, it's like massive changes
because like
upgrades.
Looking at like some of the chase scenes from that first game and the chase scene in this game, there's just considerably more happening because it's the power of the PS5 and they're not limited by the PS4. Like so many more particles, so many more opponents to fight, like so many cinematic moments turning into gameplay moments, turning back into cinematic moments. Like that's only possible with a PS5. Like. It is visually
that was true of
so
Miles
much
too.
more.
Miles was held back by being for PS4 and PS5, not built entirely on the PS5 engine. So this is our first real foray with Insomniac Spider-Man going hard PS5.
Absolutely.
And I think that's going to be. I think like a strong comparison is the when you are swinging along trying to catch up on the chopper while it's chasing the lizard over the water. That looks so much more dynamic and smooth than pursuing Electro
because you're kind of just swinging through the city, which is really cool, but like so much more like destruction is happening around you in this because like they can afford to do it. They're not held back. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little worried before the trailer because I'm like, I've loved like Jedi Survivor, it's a great game, but like it's not the true sequel I wanted. I really liked God of War, but like I felt it was a little hang back. Like this could be like Final Fantasy 16-esque, same way. Like, man, this is the next generation finally here. Like this is kind of what I've been waiting for.
And we know Insomniac is thinking in that way because of Rift Apart.
Oh yeah, Ratchet
and Clank. That how much they were using the PS5 tools that we saw on display there. We know that they are excited about utilizing what they can do with the PS5 engine.
Absolutely.
I really like Craven's design. We haven't talked about him, but he looks cool.
Yes,
he does.
The amount of people who were really worried that the first guy who showed up was Craven, like this guy looks like awful. And then real Craven showed up in like his like lion garb and like lion skull, and like there he is.
We also see Wraith confirmed.
Yeah, she's in it's either in the Spider-Man DLC or Miles. That's the trajectory that Yuri goes. So
it's the DLC. It's the DLC.
The DLC, yeah. So like if you didn't play that Spider-Man DLC, you don't know that Yuri's now a vigilante. So play that DLC.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Trailers?
Let's do it.
Trailers.
All right.
Out of pause.
Oh yeah, Ben, say your thing.
Unpause.